Live television went off the rails. No warning, no cut, no filter. One brutal interruption, and Sharon Osbourne snaps. She stands up, rips off her microphone, and walks off the view in total silence. The audience couldn't breathe. The hosts were frozen. This wasn't drama, this was a breaking point. And what happened next divided the internet. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into what really happened. No one expected the show to explode like this. What began as an ordinary episode of The View, another weekday broadcast filled with familiar faces and routine, debates quickly transformed into one of the most tense and unforgettable moments in daytime television history. At first glance, everything looked normal. The studio lights were bright. The audience was seated, applauding on cue. The hosts smiled for the cameras, greeting viewers at home just like they always do. There was laughter, casual chatter, and the comfortable rhythm that longtime fans of the show recognized instantly. But beneath those polished smiles, something was already brewing. There was an unspoken tension in the air, subtle, almost invisible, yet powerful. The kind of tension you don't notice at first, but once it snaps, you realize it was there all along. Sharon Osbourne sat at the table with her usual confidence. Known for her bold personality, sharp wit, and refusal to sugarcoat her opinions, Sharon had never been afraid to speak her mind. Throughout her career, she built a reputation as someone who says what others won't, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Across from her sat Joy Behar. Joy, a veteran of The View, was equally experienced, outspoken, and fiercely opinionated. She had spent years engaging in heated discussions on live television. Joy wasn't someone who backed down easily, especially when she believed she was right. The topic that day was already sensitive. The panel had shifted into a discussion about cancel culture, public accountability, and how celebrities are judged in today's media-driven world. It was the kind of topic guaranteed to spark strong opinions, especially among people who had lived their lives in the public eye. At first, the conversation felt familiar. The hosts exchanged viewpoints, interrupted each other slightly, and debated with controlled intensity. Viewers at home likely thought, this is just another episode. Another debate, but slowly, something changed. The tone shifted. Voices that were once conversational became firmer. Smiles faded. Sharon leaned forward, clearly invested in what she was saying. Joy responded with sharper language, pushing back harder than before. The energy at the table tightened. You could see it in their faces. Sharon's expression grew serious, her eyes locked in focus. Joy's posture stiffened, her responses becoming more pointed. Even the other co-hosts seemed to sense it. Glancing between the two, as if anticipating what might come next. This was no longer just a discussion. The room felt heavier. The air felt thicker. The kind of silence between sentences that makes people uncomfortable, not because nothing is being said, but because too much is being felt. For viewers watching at home, the shift was unmistakable. You could feel it through the screen. The rhythm of the show faltered. The laughter disappeared. Every word now carried weight. This wasn't playful disagreement anymore. This wasn't television banter, this was becoming personal. In that moment, it was clear something was about to happen, something the producers hadn't planned for, something the audience wasn't prepared to witness. The polished format of daytime TV was beginning to crack, and raw emotion was about to spill through. And once that line is crossed on live television, there's no turning back. Something personal was about to happen. As the conversation deepened, Sharon Osbourne leaned forward in her chair, clearly invested in what she was saying. This wasn't a casual opinion for her, it was something she felt deeply about. She spoke with passion, carefully choosing her words, emphasizing the importance of fairness, context, and allowing people to explain themselves before being judged. For a moment, it seemed like she might finish her point. Then Joy Behar interrupted. At first, it sounded like a normal interruption, something that happens often on The View. But this time was different. Joy didn't just jump in to add a thought. She challenged Sharon directly, questioning her stance in a sharp, uncompromising tone. The shift was immediate. What followed was not playful banter. Not the kind of spirited back-and-forth viewers were used to seeing. Joy's words came across too many watching as dismissive, even confrontational. Her expression hardened as she pushed back, making it clear she strongly disagreed not just with the argument, but with how Sharon was framing it. Sharon felt it instantly. Her posture changed. She sat up straighter, her shoulders tightening. The warmth in her voice disappeared, replaced by a sharper edge. The table, which moments earlier buzzed with overlapping voices, suddenly grew quiet. Everyone sensed it. Sharon responded quickly, firing back with words that carried emotion and urgency. She made it clear she felt disrespected, not just disagreed with, but personally challenged. This wasn't about winning a debate anymore. It was about being heard. The exchange escalated fast. Joy replied just as forcefully, refusing to back down. The two spoke over each other, their voices rising slightly with each sentence. Their body language told the story: locked eye contact, tense expressions, hands moving sharply to emphasize every point. Two strong personalities, two unshakable viewpoints, colliding live on air. Other co-hosts tried to intervene. One attempted to soften the moment with a calming comment. Another tried to redirect the conversation, but their voices were drowned out by the intensity between Sharon and Joy. The momentum had already taken over. The conversation was no longer in anyone's control. It had crossed the line. What started as a debate had turned into a confrontation. Sharon's voice began to tremble, not with fear, but with frustration. You could hear the emotion breaking through her words. She paused briefly, as if trying to steady herself, then spoke again, this time more personally. She explained how she felt attacked, misunderstood, and unfairly labeled. She wasn't just defending an idea anymore. She was defending her character, her reputation, herself. There was a raw honesty in her voice. The studio audience sat in silence. No applause. No laughter. Just stillness. Viewers at home could feel it. This wasn't scripted television. This wasn't a planned controversy designed for ratings. This was a real emotional moment unfolding in real time. With no chance to rewind or redo, cameras captured every expression, every tightening jaw, every pause, every breath. The polished image of daytime television was slipping away, replaced by something far more real and uncomfortable. At that moment, everyone watching knew this exchange would be remembered. Because once emotions take over on live TV, there's no hiding them. And the clash had only just reached its breaking point. Then came the moment no producer ever wants to see. For a brief second, everything stopped. Sharon Osbourne fell silent. The rapid exchange of words ended abruptly, replaced by a heavy pause that felt far longer than it actually was. She looked down, then slowly lifted her head. Her chest rose as she took a deep breath, not to prepare another argument, but to steady herself. She glanced around the table at the co-hosts, at Joy, at the cameras. In that moment, it was clear something had shifted inside her, and then she stood up. The movement was sudden yet calm. Her chair slid back softly against the floor, but the sound echoed through the studio. The audience gasped. Conversations stopped mid-breath. The studio went completely silent. No music. No laughter. No applause. Just shock. Sharon didn't shout. She didn't slam the table. There were no dramatic gestures. Instead, she spoke quietly but firmly, her words measured and controlled. She said she could not continue under these conditions, that she felt the conversation had gone beyond respectful debate. Her face told the real story. There was disappointment there, hurt, a sense of finality. This wasn't someone storming off in anger. This was someone choosing to walk away to protect their dignity. With steady hands, Sharon reached up and removed her microphone. The small action carried enormous weight. She placed it down gently, as if fully aware that this moment would be replayed again and again. Then she pushed her chair back. And walked off the set. Live, on air, in front of millions of viewers. For a split second, no one moved. The co-hosts sat frozen in their seats, eyes wide. Some stared after Sharon as she exited. Others looked down at the table, unsure of what to say or do next. Joy Behar appeared stunned, her expression a mix of surprise and disbelief. This was not how the show was supposed to go. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled. Cameras hesitated, unsure where to focus. The carefully planned flow of the episode had completely collapsed. Within seconds, the decision was made to cut to commercial earlier than planned. Abruptly, without explanation. Home. Viewers sat in silence. Social media feeds paused. Remote controls hovered in mid-air. People replayed the moment in their minds, asking the same question over and over again. Did that really just happen? This wasn't a dramatic clip pulled from a scripted reality show. This was daytime television, a format built on controlled conversation and polished presentation. And yet, everything had unraveled in less than a minute. The walk-off felt symbolic. It wasn't just Sharon leaving the table. It felt like a breaking point, a moment where the pressure of live television, public judgment, and personal boundaries collided all at once as the screen faded to commercial. One question hung heavily in the air. Was this the end of Sharon Osbourne on The View? Or was this the beginning of something far bigger, something that would spark conversations far beyond the studio walls? No one knew the answer yet, but one thing was certain: television history had just been made. Within minutes of the episode airing, the internet erupted. The moment Sharon Osbourne stood up and walked off The View, clips began flooding social media at lightning speed. What had just happened on live television was no longer confined to one studio, it was now everywhere. Twitter lit up first. Short video clips of Sharon removing her microphone and leaving the set spread rapidly, shared thousands of times within minutes. Hashtags began trending as users replayed the moment again and again, analyzing every second. Then YouTube took over. Reaction videos popped up almost instantly, some filmed by fans still sitting in front of their TVs, others by creators rushing to break down what they had just witnessed. Thumbnails screamed words like shocking, live TV meltdown, and unbelievable walk-off. TikTok followed close behind. Edited clips, slow-motion replays, dramatic music, and captions flooded the platform. The moment became a viral storm, reaching millions of people who hadn't even watched the original episode. And just as quickly, opinions split. Fans took sides. Supporters of Sharon flooded comment sections with messages of praise. She stood up for herself when no one else would. One deserves to be embarrassed or attacked on live TV. That took real courage. Many viewers said they could feel Sharon's frustration through the screen. They praised her for walking away instead of escalating the conflict further, calling her response dignified and restrained. But not everyone agreed. Others rushed to defend. Joy Behar: it was a tough conversation, not a personal attack. Disagreement is literally the point of the show. Sharon overreacted. These viewers argued that The View has always thrived on intense debates and that strong opinions are part of the format. To them, Sharon's walk-off felt sudden and unnecessary. The division grew deeper by the hour. Celebrities began weighing in. Actors, comedians, journalists, and media personalities shared their takes, some cautiously, others passionately. Some praised Sharon's decision to protect her boundaries. Others warned against turning disagreements into walk-offs. Media commentators dissected the incident frame by frame. Talk shows replayed the clip repeatedly, pausing to analyze tone, posture, and timing. Body language experts broke down facial expressions, pointing out moments where tension visibly peaked. Psychologists discussed emotional triggers under public pressure. The question everyone asked was the same: did live television cross a line? News outlets picked up the story, turning it into headline news. Articles debated whether hosts are pushed too far for the sake of entertainment. Editorials questioned whether confrontation had become more valuable than respect in modern media. One thing was undeniable: this moment dominated the news cycle. For days, it overshadowed other stories. It became a reference point in discussions about cancel culture, workplace boundaries, and emotional well-being under constant public scrutiny. And beyond the arguments and opinions, one deeper question remained. How much pressure, confrontation, and emotional strain should anyone be expected to endure in front of millions of people simply because the cameras are rolling? What happened on The View was no longer just about Sharon Osbourne and Joy Behar. It had become a cultural moment, and the conversation was far from over. Sharon Osbourne's walk-off was more than just a viral clip circulating online. It was a statement, in a single quiet decision to stand up and leave. Sharon turned a heated television moment into a larger conversation about respect, boundaries, and emotional limits. What viewers witnessed wasn't just a disagreement between co-hosts. It was a clear example of how intense and unforgiving live television can be. On shows like The View, opinions don't simply collide, they crash. Hosts are expected to be outspoken, passionate, and unfiltered, all while millions of people watch, judge, and react in real time. There is no pause button, no chance to rewind. Every word matters, and every reaction is permanently recorded. Sharon's walk-off exposed the reality behind the polished sets and rehearsed smiles. Behind the bright lights are real people. Behind the cameras are real emotions. And behind the debates are real personal boundaries. For many viewers, the moment was eye-opening. It reminded audiences that even experienced television personalities have breaking points. That strength doesn't always mean staying and fighting. It can also mean knowing when to walk away. Whether you side with Sharon or Joy Behar, one question became impossible to ignore. How far should debate go before it becomes personal? Healthy disagreement is part of meaningful conversation, but when discussions cross into territory where someone feels attacked or misunderstood, the line between debate and conflict begins to blur. Sharon's reaction forced viewers to confront that uncomfortable reality. In the days that followed, the conversation expanded far beyond The View. Social media users, commentators, and fans began discussing respect in the workplace. They talked about emotional well-being, public pressure, and the toll of being constantly on in front of an audience. Many connected the moment to their own experiences, times when they felt unheard, overwhelmed, or pushed too far. This wasn't just about television anymore, it was about modern work culture. It was about the expectation to remain composed no matter how uncomfortable the situation becomes. It was about how society often rewards confrontation while overlooking emotional consequences. For Sharon Osbourne, the walk-off became a defining moment in her public career. It showed that she valued her dignity more than the comfort of staying on camera. Rather than escalating the conflict, she chose to remove herself, a decision that many viewed as powerful, not weak, in an industry built on spectacle. That choice stood out, and for television history, the incident served as yet another reminder that live TV is unpredictable. No matter how carefully produced a show may be, real emotions can break through at any moment. Sometimes it happens in a raised voice, sometimes in silence, and sometimes in the simple act of standing up and walking away. Because in the end, it only takes one moment to shift the conversation, challenge the system, and remind the world that even on live television, human limits still matter.